Hello traders, Day Trader Matt here, a businesswithtrading.com, doing a trading strategy recap for the 26th of March, Thursday, and today was a pretty good day. It's a really good day to be able to have such a shitty day yesterday, and today be able to turn it around and then some. And that's what trading's all about. I speak about consistency a lot because it's crucial to being a good trader, to being a professional trader, to being a great trader. It's something that is very important in anything, really. If you're a basketball player, free throws is really important. Or being able to score about, an average amount of points a game. Or like if you have a job, getting there early, not being late. Consistent in that is good. In trading, you want to be consistent in making money. You're going to have bad days every now and then, and that's with anything in life. I don't really care what you do. You're going to have those bad days. So let's get into what we did today. Today we had 5 trades. We were 3 for 2 and pulled 10 points out of the market. So our first trade came over here. We were short right here. Price did come down, and we did take profits as it started to come up. So we got out there. That was our first trade. And then we just watched the market for a little while. We watched price come up, watched it come down. And as it came up, we decided, let's get short. Obviously the market was like, bad idea, and took us out. It is what it is. So we watched price come up, and we ended up taking another short over here, and we did take profits very quickly. Price came down. As it started to come back up, we were taken out, and price ended up going higher. So what we did is we decided to get short again. Got taken out of that. Watched price chop around here, and we did get long down here. We were able to ride it up and take profit up here. So it turned out to be a good day. That last trade really made our day. And that's really like the majority of things in life. You've heard the 80-20 rule, the 90-10 rule. Those are kind of guidelines to how things play out. They don't have to play out like that, obviously. But they do a lot of times. Today we had 5 trades. One trade made our entire day. Does it always work out like that? No. I've had days when, the market was moving about 20-30 points a day, and 5 trades, 6 trades, turns into something phenomenal, 30-40 points, which in the ES, that's pretty phenomenal. Days like this, price moved very nicely. The low was 236.25, high 254. That's a nice range. So being able to pull off a little under half of the range, that's pretty good. You had, about 18 points approximately. I think 17.75 probably is the range. So we made over half the range. That's good. That's good. And that's kind of what you want to do. You want to be able to, take profit. You want to be able to maximize your profit. But you want to be able to make it first of all. I see a lot of new traders. I'm going to use this as an example because this is a trade that we made and I talked about it. So, we get long down here and price starts to come up. Trader sees this, pull back a little bit, and they're like, "Oh no, we might not make money on this trade. I need to make money. I'm down because with this stop out here, we were down." So this actually made our entire day. So, that's what we were looking at. We're like, okay, so we're we're negative on the day. We were negative yesterday. Oh shit, what a shitty day. I see price starting to pull back here. I want to get out. I'm gonna try to get out before when price gets up here, because it's probably just gonna roll over. So I'm just gonna get out. So you get out here. Well, look at where price goes to. Or let's say you just get scared and you get out right here. Or maybe you get out when it comes back to this level, because you're like, oh no, it pulled back. Let me get out when it comes back here. Look at all the money you're leaving on the table. And that's what I talk about. You need to be able to maximize your trades. You need to know where it's going to go. Where is it likely to go? That's part of the analysis. And analyzing price while it's actually moving, that's something you should do before the market even starts. So, anyway, I wanted to talk about that a little bit. What resonated with you the most? What did you like about what I talked about? Put a comment below. You can email me, support@abusinesswithtrading.com. Love to hear your thoughts. Also, I would like to talk about a trade that we took in the swing trade room. We shorted cocoa. Right here at this red line is where we went short. I sent it out last night, which was between here and here. It was around like 5 or 6 o'clock. I said, I want to short cocoa, 2,800. I put in my stop, and I said, we're just going to short it. I'll come up with levels tomorrow. We're going to short it. Most of the time, I'm looking at a first target, and then I'll look to take the second target off. Let me restate that. Most of the time, I'm looking to take a first target, and then second target is usually open. Every now and then, if I think something can run, I just say I want to get in the trade, and then when it moves to this area, our stop will be this amount plus our entry. So that's usually what I look at. We woke up today, kind of watched it, looked at it. Saw price starting to chop around here. I said, okay, let's take partial at 27.80. Sent out an email to everybody this morning. It was probably over here, something like that. I sent out an email to everybody. Let's get out at 27.80 partial, and we moved our stop about right here on the remainder. Then today price starts to break down, so I said, okay, probably around this area here, I think, or maybe around here. It was something like that. I said, let's move our stop to here, this yellow line. I made it yellow just because it would make more sense. The red is our entry because we were short. The green was our first target buyback. Just to make it a little bit easier on the eyes, I made it yellow. This is our stop right now. And price did come up here. It came about 3 points from our stop, and then it started to sell off again. Hasn't made new lows yet, and it's not as weak as I thought it was going to be. I really thought it was going to be much weaker. But that's just a sample trade that we did. It was a trade that I put out. Let's see, when did this trigger? About a little after 5 in the morning. So about 12 hours. We had the trade out there about 12 hours in advance. We knew exactly what we were going to do, and it just got taken. And that's how we play these swing trades. It's not a I see this, I'm taking it right now. It's I see this, I like it, let's put in our orders and see what happens type of thing. So anyway, that's where we're at there. I wanted to show that. I try to show trades every now and then in the trading strategy recaps. Just because it kind of shows everything we did. We right now with a stop, we're up about $450. We assume 2 sides, so 1 contract plus 1 contract equals 2. With our stop, we're in $450 locked in. We made 200 on the first one, we're locked in 250 on the second one. And of course, if you trade more contracts, you'll make even more money. And that's really what trading is all about, is being able to learn a methodology and then scale it. And being able to take one contract or two contracts to 5 contracts or 10 contracts, and then just being able to add on that. And that's what makes trading fantastic, and in my opinion, the best business ever, really. So anyway, I'd love to hear your comments. What made sense to you the most? You comment below. You can also email me directly. Again, email address support@abusinesswithtrading.com. And if you enjoy the content, please like and share it. I appreciate that, and that will tell me what I need to focus on and the information that you guys like most, so I can continue to give that. So with that, thanks for watching. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll see you back here in the markets. Thank you.